Thank you, Reagan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for everybody for coming out today. It's a gorgeous day in Missouri. We're going to talk a little bit about price protection for your milk check. We'll jump right into it. The agenda for today, we're going to be talking about milk income for 2020. And we're going to take a brief look at the past. We're going to see where we're at right now. We're going to look what the next 6 months look like. This has been an extraordinary period in markets, and everybody in agriculture knows that. And I don't pretend to be spending any time on Outlook because I don't think anybody can guess where this thing's going with the epidemic. But we're going to be talking about some rules of thumb for risk managers. We're going to be talking about some better tools to manage future milk price risk. And I say better tools because those of you that have been at this for a while know that we used to go out in the country and we talked about using futures and options and setting up an account and buying 200,000 pound increments and puts and calls and strike prices and floors and margin calls. We don't have to do that anymore. We've got some really good, friendly risk management tools that you can size to any size operation. They're flexible. It just takes a little bit of investment in learning how to do them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the USDA's dairy margin contract, DMC. For those folks who've got it, I'm going to be talking about DFA risk management for DFA members, and then I'm going to be talking about dairy RP, both for DFA members and for members of other co-ops, and how we might be able to use those tools to smooth out our milk income for this 2020. And then I'm going to be talking about, we've got a link of resources of where to find all this stuff. This is basically why we're having this meeting today. It's Friday. Next Tuesday is the final date to buy dairy revenue protection for the third quarter of the year. And the news media and the dairy blogs and the magazines have been full of what's happening in the dairy cheese markets. When we went into this year, we were looking at $17.50, $18 class 3 prices for June. It looked like we were going to stay there. We went into the lockdown, all hell broke loose, and we shut down outside eating, dinner at restaurants. Nobody knew where that supply chain was going to end up. We took class 3 prices for June all the way down the futures, almost down to $10. And it's hard to think about that, but 6 weeks ago, we were looking at basically $10.50 class 3 futures. Now, 6 weeks later, we've reopened the restaurants trade. The food supply industry has restocked refrigerators. At the same time, USDA has bought $300 million worth of dairy products. And the cheese market has gone crazy. I won't say that. Cheese market has gotten very excited. And we've got plus $20 class 3 milk prices for June. So that's why everybody's excited. Is this the time to step in? Just a minute to look at where we are in the past. The 2020, January through December, if we look at our milk prices, and these milk prices are uniform prices for Central Order, 3.5% butterfat milk, Jackson County announced. So we would hope you'd have a little higher than that, components and premiums and those things. But January 1763, February 1689, March 1640, and then we got that 1351 in April, and the announced price as of yesterday for May was $12.24. If you had bought dairy USDA DMC insurance at the $9.50 level, and an awful lot of producers did, just locked it in for the life of the farm bill, you wouldn't have gotten anything for January and February, and maybe a little bit discouraged. Then March came along, and you got a 35-cent payment that was paid 60 days later in May. April, the payment rate for $9.50 insurance is $3.47. It'll be paid in June, and in May, we are estimating, based on the USDA tool, a $4.10 hundredweight DMC payment as of now. They'll be paid in July. You add that on to the CFAP payments, the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program payments that basically amount to $6.20 a hundredweight on the first 3 months of the year. It's production, and they intended that to be spread out of the first 6 months. So if you spread that $6.20 a hundredweight over the entire 6 months, it makes $3.10 a hundredweight. And granted, you're only going to get 80% of that up front, but eventually we hope and expect that you will get all of that $3.10 a hundredweight on milk production for the first 6 months. So if you look at a total revenue for somebody who bought DMC insurance, somebody that is eligible and chooses to participate in government programs and gets that CFAP payment, you know, we're looking at $20 milk for the first 5 months out of the year. Question is, what do the next 6 months look like? And I threw this slide in there just for folks who are still working on details of the CFAP payments. I think it's been out there quite a bit on all the details, but in addition to the payment on a per hundredweight milk basis, we're also being paid by on the cattle and the livestock. For the livestock that are sold January 15th to April 15th, your CARES Act payment rates are listed over there. Baby calves, $102. Cull cows, $92 for cows that were sold. Animals were sold January 15th to April 15th. The CCC payment rate is for a high rate of inventory up until the middle of May, between that April 15th and the May date. So as you make an appointment with FSA, you can actually go to that website down there, farmers.gov/CFAP, download the spreadsheet, fill it out yourself, and even email it in. But if you go through counting your numbers and everything like that, pretty significant level of income for a lot of dairy farmers. And a lot of people need it because we haven't gotten the DMC payments, we haven't gotten CFAP payments yet, and people receive those low milk prices. Let's go on to what the future looks like. This is what the USDA's Dairy Margin Coverage Decision Tool looks like. This is the estimates as of yesterday based on the highest, or based on the Class 3 and Class 4 prices, and their best calculations as of where the markets are today. As you can see, that steep rise out of May milk prices, basically we're not counting on getting another DMC payment from June through the next, 5 quarters. So that black line is the most probable, and it basically says we're not getting any more payments after the May DMC payment. Now that could change dramatically. It changed the last 6 weeks. Epidemic can change everything. But as of right now, there will be no more expected DMC payments past May. And there's, if you choose to, if you're used to going to that tool and take a look at it, and you hit the probability table at the top on the forecast margins, it'll give you the expected value at any given time of the expected income over feed cost margin. And then you can look at where you are, what level of insurance you bought. So you can see that from June on, we're over $9.50, and that's the highest level of insurance people could buy is the $9.50 level. So we're not expecting at this point, because of where Class 3 and Class 4 prices are, and feed costs are, we're not expecting any more dairy margin coverage payments from USDA past the May triggered payment that you'll receive in July. Now, here's where we get to the fun part. People are reading all about the $20 plus milk prices, and that's the headline, the Class 3 price. But we kind of forget sometimes that the blend price that we receive is a blend of value and use, and the percentage that went into Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, and Class 4 prices. And Class 4 prices haven't come up near as high. Class 3 is cheese milk, Class 4 is butter powder, but they also feed into the other formulas for the Class 2 and Class 1 and Class 2. Class 1, where you're looking at Southeast order, Southwest Missouri, you've got 2/3 of your milk in Class 1 utilization. But because we changed the formula a couple of years ago, that's no longer higher of Class 3 or Class 4, average of 3 or 4, plus the Class 1 movement, plus your location differential. So when we talk about $20 milk, we forget we're sitting in June at $14 Class 4 milk. And you can see the expectation of the market is over the next remainder of this year, we're going to move to a period of more equal Class 3 and 4 that we've traditionally had. But right now, the thing that's come in and set the cheese market on fire is we've got restocking of the restaurant trade, the food service trade. At the same time, the USDA has bought that $300 million and pledged an additional $100 million a month for their food box program. And it's just really got Class 3 prices, cheese prices coming higher. So let's look at some rules of thumb for risk managers before we talk about tools. Good risk managers identify risks that are too much to self-insure. If you don't do anything with risk management, if you just take your milk check, what you're doing is self-insuring. There's nothing wrong with self-insuring. As long as you understand that I'm willing to take those risks, and I can take whatever comes my way. I think the last 6 weeks have taught people that they are less confident that they can take whatever comes their way when they start looking at $10 class 3 milk prices. So you have to look at the upside versus the downside risk. We've got some pretty nice milk prices right now. The upside doesn't look real high. The downside, well, if we were to use some of the tools out there, we might spend 20, 30 cents a hundredweight. That's the downside risk, but we put a floor on and we allow ourselves to still take the upside, and milk prices continue to go up, but we take a lot of the downside out of it. Smart risk managers scale into rising milk markets. When dairy RP came out, we said, went out around the country talking about it, and we said, you need to start learning how to do it before you really need it. You need to drill a well before the drought. You need to prepare until you're comfortable with it. A lot of folks end up drilling wells during drought because they haven't got around to it until now. And that's where we're at with a lot of folks who are starting to use dairy RP. So smart risk managers scale in. You split up your selling decision at least into thirds and try not to make big decisions all at once. We're watching 5 quarters in the future for opportunities. Don't just look at $20 plus milk right now. Look at where we're at third quarter, fourth quarter, first quarter, second quarter of next year, and start to see if there's an opportunity to lock in some prices that fit your operation. One thing I'll mention, don't try for home runs or bragging rights. Anybody that goes out and bragging rights says, I hit the home run, I did this, they're mentioning one time. Best risk managers are always aiming for singles and doubles, and they're picking off the opportunities in increments. They're not trying to hit the home run. Finally, use simplest tools first. If you have the option and you're using dairy revenue protection, pick an agent with some dairy specific expertise. The simplest tool to use is DMC, USDA's DMC program. When we get another sign up period next fall, if you haven't been using it, definitely take advantage of it. 15 cents a hundredweight will give you $9.50 coverage on the first 5 million pounds. After that, dairy RP is probably your simplest tool after that. It's another subsidized insurance product sold through insurance agents, crop insurance agents. If you're going to talk to somebody that's dealing in the markets and somebody that's a broker, piece of advice, if you haven't talked to them before and you need a little help and a little hand holding, call them after 2 p.m. Before the markets are open and when they're open, they're busy as beavers right now with everybody wanting to get into the markets, and you may get short attention. But after 2 p.m., if the market's closed, after they've had their lunch, they'll sit down and talk to you, and they'll explain it to you, and they'll be happy to take on new customers. If you're not comfortable with the lingo of the program you're using, explain in plain language your goals, and most good brokers or good insurance agents will be happy to educate you because you're their clients. First of all, I'm going to talk about DFA risk management, because those of you that are DFA members, and I know we probably have Prairie Farms members, we probably have Central Equity members, and I'm not sliding the other co-ops. I'm just saying DFA has a really good risk management program, and then we'll talk about other options for those folks who aren't DFA members. But DFA, if you're a DFA member, you can sign into their portal, go into My DFA, and you can print off your basis history of how your milk prices have compared against Class 3 and Class 4. You can get futures quotes. You can figure out what the Dairy Revenue Protection Program calculator would give you at any given time. You can ask questions. You can fill out your master agreement, and then if you like what you get, you hit a button and you start the process. If you haven't done that, definitely take an opportunity to do that. They've got some nice videos there. They've got some nice training tools, as do a lot of other good brokerages online. There's a lot of educational stuff out there. Best way to educate your stuff, I go back to the old FFA, learning to do, doing to learn. That's the best way to do this stuff, is just to take a small piece, try it, see how it hits your cash flow, get used to it. If you go to DFA's link on My DFA, you go down to Dairy Revenue Protection. You can it explains it up front. You hit the button, get an estimated price, and at any given time, that'll pick up the current markets. You can figure out whether you want to price for class 3 or class 4 or components, what amount of milk you want to sell by quarter, or how, when I say sell, put a minimum price or a minimum revenue under that quarter, minimum price floor under that quarter. And then they'll list what the premium would be with the subsidy and without the subsidy. And I think you'll see why most people have gone using dairy RP rather than simple futures contracts or options contracts. It's a cheaper way to do a customized package for you. You basically sign up for the insurance, and then you wait till the end of the quarter, and a month or two after the end of the quarter, it settles against the class 3 and class 4 prices, and you turn in your request for indemnity if prices went down below your floor, and you get a check. And it's just about that simple. Typically, we're talking 20 to 30 cents a hundredweight for what most people are looking at doing, buying at 95% levels. Let's look at what dairy RP baby steps would be for DFA members. First of all, go online, get the paperwork signed, ready to execute. Sign up for their dairy daily emails so you can watch what markets are doing, what floor prices are available out there in the market any given day. Review those learning tools on their websites. Prepare to do 10% of nearby production quarter to start. If you haven't done this before, if you're unfamiliar with it, if you're a little bit nervous about it, if you just want to see how it works, you can do a bunch of different contracts with them on a given quarter. You can start with 10% and then go up or more. If you've been used to it and you're ready to execute, there's nothing wrong with locking in a high percentage of your production for the coming quarter. Keep in mind that as we do this, this is June 12th, Friday, June 12th. And if you're going to lock in a floor price for milk prices using dairy revenue protection, Monday will be the last day prices are quoted, and Tuesday will be the last day to get your paperwork or to get all your contract written. So you need to be moving fast if you're doing anything for the third quarter. These were the prices that were available for class 3 floor prices. $16.86 for June through September on class 3 floor, class 4 prices $14.92. And you may say, well, why is it $16.86 for July through September when I saw there was $20 a hundredweight in quoted yesterday? Well, that $20 a hundredweight is for June. It's not necessarily for July, August, September, which is the third quarter, because class 3 prices are trending down from that. Also, these floor prices are the maximum you can set is 95% of the current market prices for that 3-month average. So that's why those markets may look a little less than what you were expecting. But you can look at the premiums over there. You know, we talk about the upside and the downside. The upside being, you know, you still can take advantage of a rising market, but you're limited on the downside. The premiums, 25, 30 cents up to 5 quarters in the future. For those people who are DFA members, you can actually go by central order or southeast order. They can give you a target blend price contract if you are interested in, you know, you don't know what your class 3 or class 4 is, but you know, you basically use DFA risk management to execute a floor price, and you can do a target blend contract through them separate from dairy revenue protection. For those of you that may be Central Equity or Prairie Farms or maybe another co-op that are interested in using dairy RP, there's a link at the end of this presentation that takes you to the USDA Risk Management Agency website that will allow you to look up in your area or in your region, in your state, whatever companies that write dairy RP insurance that are out there. And so you can pick one that you like. I suggest work with whoever you're comfortable with. It's all the exact same insurance. It's all RMA backed insurance. It's all subsidized insurance. It's just who you like the agent. And for the most part, a lot of producers really enjoy working with an agent that does a lot of dairy or has a dairy specialist in their organization because they can walk through it. In this example, I'm using Rice Dairy, and there's their website for Rice Dairy. I really like their website. You don't have to be a member of anything to sign in. You can just sign in and start using their website to calculate information. I'm not favoring them. I'm just saying they've got a nice website. And I took an example here of third quarter, and we did it 50% class 3, 50% class 4, and I did it by components also just to look at it. And I did anywhere from 80 to 95% price revenue coverage to see what kind of minimum prices I could lock in and see what the net premiums would be like. And again, the net premiums after the subsidies, 20 to 30 cents, what I can do and lock in a quarter's worth of floor price under my revenue. With that, I want to leave a few minutes for questions, and these are the resources. Anybody that's interested in Outlook, I think one of the best Outlook out there on dairy markets is the University of Wisconsin Monthly Dairy Outlook. You can use a podcast. They've got a lot of data that updates between their podcasts. You can sign up by an email and get their podcast for when it comes out. USDA dairy margin coverage, if you were interested in the prices, the third week of the month is when those are updated for the previous month. And so you can look on there and see what the DMC payments are going to be like. The CFAP payments, if you haven't gone to that website, it's a great website to learn about the CFAP program. The USDA Dairy RP fact sheet with agent locator is listed right there, so you can find an agent to do your dairy RP. And finally, I'm going to be quiet there, but I want to refer you, for those people who are looking at the recorded website, we've got some explanations on how blend pricing work and value and use, and how we get to that federal order pool and how that reflects into the basis at your farm. And then we've got a map of the pools, federal orders. The class 1 price is the only of the 4 classes of milk. Class 1 is the only one that varies across the country. Class 2, class 3, class 4 is basically the same across the country. And we've got an example of maybe 2 different federal orders with different levels of utilization for the different classes, and how that ends up being different milk prices, and how the basis price may be different by federal milk marketing orders. And then you've got the additional basis uncertainty that comes in because your particular basis for your farm, the difference between the futures prices of class 3 and class 4 and your actual milk price are going to vary by components, by quality premiums, by seasonality now, by if you're getting some premium from some kind of specialty program. You know, there's no 2 farms that have the exact same basis. The best way to get that is to have the history of your own farm. So with that, Reagan, I'm going to open it up to anybody that's got questions. If there's anybody that's got a question or in chat, I'll be happy to answer it.
Sure. So we're to the Q&A section of our presentation here on the webinar, and I want to thank Joe for presenting to us. If you have any questions, please seek out the chat box at the bottom part of the Zoom software, or shoot me a text, and I'll be sure to share that with Joe. My cell phone number is 417-772-4231, and we'll roll off some of the questions because I'm not seeing any roll in right now. Joe, could you go back, rewind a little bit? You were showing the 1686, and you were trying to explain why that number looks different than the $20 number that we were reading. Yes. Could you explain again tell me how you got from the $20 that I just saw from a grid to the 1686, so that when I call my agent and I'm ready to pull the trigger, I'm not surprised by that separation.
Sure. First of all, that $20 plus is for June, and we're ensuring the July, August, September period for that third quarter with dairy RP. So that price is, class 3 floor is the average of those 3 months, July, August, September, class 3, where it closed with the futures the day before, times 0.95, because the program set up that the maximum is 95% of the current revenue on offer by the marketplace. So that's where that's where $20 turns into 1686.
Very good. We have a question. Is the premium number what I pay with subsidy or without?
That is the premium. I believe that's quoted the premium you pay after the subsidy's been taken off. That net premium you pay.
Thank you. If I have DMC and DRP, is milk forward pricing worthwhile? It seems redundant to me, question mark.
Yes, it can be. I think for many producers who have got stable production and their DMC history reflects pretty well what they're currently doing, and they bought 950 insurance, the new DMC program works pretty well. It's a pretty good risk program. I don't know that you necessarily need to be looking at dairy RP. The only issue is some people didn't choose to participate in DMC at the 950 level last year and got some price risk hanging out there, or they may have expanded production quite a bit and don't have a lot of their production covered, or they may be a lot bigger than the 5 million pounds of milk that's highly subsidized under DMC, and dairy RP is the next cheapest option to put floor prices under.
As we pause to allow more questions to come through, I want to applaud every one of you that came to the session today, and also those that are maybe watching the recording. I know that this format is different, but I think that we have learned a lot as extension agents to expand through this process. And honestly, I think the glass half full, guys, is that you didn't have to get in your truck and drive to town. You didn't have to change your boots. You just had to click a button and join us. And so I applaud you for, hugging that porcupine and getting to this different platform to help advance your operation and protect it during this kind of unknown window. I did hear a text come through. If we generally get paid on a blend check, should we book now just class 3 on dairy RP, or should we book blend? The blend we're actually getting.
That's a really good question. The speculator in me says the class 3 is the one that's out of line. It's probably the best opportunity to take advantage of a falling price if it does fall. So I probably get my best return for the money doing that. But the risk manager in me says, hey, keep it simple, plain vanilla, mirror what you've got at risk, and book the blend. And your blend, if you're working with somebody and you don't have a clue what your blend is, 50-50 class 3 and class 4 is not going to be too far off, either for central or for southeast. When I do the calculation, it's probably southeast order, it's probably 45-55 class 3, class 4, and central it's probably 60-40 class 3 versus class 4. But I think you have to go back to the principles of risk management. Keep it simple, stupid. Try to mimic. Don't try to hit a home run. Don't try to combine speculating and risk management. Just try to mimic the one that fits your operation.
I think on similar topic, doesn't the DMC equate to about the 1650 level? So then dairy RP is good after that 1650?
Yeah, or maybe even a little bit higher. It depends on where feed prices end up. Feed prices are coming back down again. If you got $9.50 level of insurance and we've got $8 to $9 feed costs, you're probably pretty right in there with $16.50 with DMC is pretty much giving you that DMC floor. So I would agree with you. It looks like we've got a fantastic corn crop in the ground. It looks like we got a lot of soil moisture in. It looks like we're going to have reasonable feed costs. But if this last 6 weeks or 8 weeks have taught us anything, it is that approach risk management with humility, because nature has a way of batting last.
With that, it's 12:30, and we promised the participants that we keep it at a 30-minute window. But just know that both Joe and I are always available to help you through this process. And as you're interested and eager to learning more, I've got the afternoon available to you to maybe work through some of these tools and talk through some options. Again, thank you for attending our webinar series. This particular webinar was born of questions that I received on my cell phone. So please reach out whenever you have questions. Chances are your questions mirror your other dairymen's questions. And so Let's work together as a team to get the information that everybody needs out. Thank you for always keeping us relevant and reliable so that we can give you the information that you need to know. Joe, thank you for your content. Lord knows I wouldn't be able to do it without you. And guys, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.